Try this again. Good evening to you all, and welcome to another Wednesday edition of That 49ers Show. And there's a lot to get into over the course of the next 60 minutes, and we will get to it all. Got two guests waiting for you. Ryan Adverterata from Full Press 49ers will join me during part one, and Clarence Nixon, Cincinnati Bengals insider, with a preview of our next opponent, will join me during the second part of the show. Vikings beat us through the air, 22-17. There are a few very encouraging things I can take from this game. And the one encouraging thing I will take from this game is that it's a one-possession game. Meanwhile, we have a lot of problems with our pass defense. Erase the word pass. We have a lot of problems with our defense, and we've had them the last two games. There has been no pass rush this year whatsoever, not a consistent one. And Kirk Two Chains Cousins, thank you, Ben Sutter, sliced us to pieces on Monday night. And what I kind of the way I knew it was going to be a horrible game for the 49ers, two things, and they occurred within the same sequence of each other. One, we turned the ball over at the 11-yard line. That's not acceptable. We turned the ball over at the Vikings' 11-yard line, and it was Christian McCaffrey who had the ball chopped away from him. The Vikings fell on it. Then the other part, which basically put the game away as far as I'm concerned, we had the Vikings at a 3rd and 12, and they were allowed to convert it for a first down. And because they converted 3 third downs on that opening drive, they were able to take it all the way down and stick it in the end zone. They led 7-0. It became 10-0. McCaffrey gets in, makes it 10-7. But the backbreaker, a 60-yard touchdown to Jordan Addison. And both of Cousins' touchdowns were to Jordan Addison. One from 30 and one from 60. We got beat over the top, and we have been getting beat over the top this year. We have been getting shredded. The last two games, we've been shredded by P.J. Walker and Kirk Cousins. Tell me how that fits. What I am afraid of is a narrative that's already out there, is that Steve Wilks has taken an absolute monster of a defense and humbled it. Because once again, we're not getting a pass rush at all. We're not getting a pass rush at all. In fact, we've had no sacks in the last two games. None. That's not worthy of a 49er defense this talented. Now, I know I am overreacting. It's what I do each and every week when I cover my team. And I know people are going to say I'm overreacting here. I'd like to overreact by saying this could be a version of the 94 49ers where they got shredded by Philadelphia 40-8, but then they went on a run. They blew through the rest of the season except for the final game, and then they blew everybody out on their way to Super Bowl 29. I would love for that to happen. But for that to happen, first of all, we have to get healthy. We were minus Trent Williams, and we were minus Deebo Samuel. Jawan Jennings has got to step up and make some catches. He had a chance to make two of them, especially one on the final drive of the game where Purdy threw his second and final interception of the night. There's a lot of adversity facing this 49er team right now. Even though we're sitting at 5-2, even though we are in first place in the NFC West, we're only a half game up on the Seahawks, but in essence, we're 2 games up on the Seahawks because they've already lost once within the division. So we got all that going for us. As I mentioned, injuries are going to kill us. And injuries have killed us in the Kyle Shanahan era. I liken this to Tom Thibodeau when he coached the Bulls. The only thing that stopped Tom Thibodeau from winning a championship with the Chicago Bulls was injuries. Lots of them. What's stopping Kyle Shanahan? The biggest thing, injuries. We're getting shredded. I mean, the sack that Minnesota recorded on Monday night was on the left side, was the pressure came from the left side. Who's usually on the left side? Trent Williams. And because that happened, it took the 49ers out of a drive. Each team had the ball 9 times. The Vikings scored on 6 of their drives. We only scored on 3. Each team had 2 touchdowns in the game. But let me say it again. Each team had the ball 9 times on Monday night. Minnesota scored 6 times. We only scored 3 times. Five times. I beg your pardon. They scored 5 times. We scored 3 times. That's not good, especially when you have a team like Cincinnati, and we'll do a preview of them later, coming into our house on Sunday afternoon. It's a 4:25 kick. But let me stay with the Minnesota game. We got beat over the top. Our defense has been pushed around the last 2 games. And if I were any member of that San Francisco defense, I'd be a little PO'd right now. To have teams like Cleveland and Minnesota, teams with losing records, push us around. Our major problem, well, I already said it, has been our defense. You can break down this defense every way you can. We're good in between the 20s, but our red zone defense is horrible. Horrible. That was proven again on Monday night. The last 2 games, our red zone defense has been horrid. Horrid. And we're 7 weeks in. The Niners defensively looked like world beaters the first 5 games of the year. Then we got punched in the mouth by Cleveland. We got kicked in the ass by Minnesota. I'm almost afraid to see what will happen when Cincinnati comes to town. But again, to repeat the encouraging things, we're 5-2, which is 2 games better than what we were last year after Kansas City came in and put a foot in us in our house. Y'all remember that, 44-23. And then we went on the road and beat up the Rams, and we went into our bye week. After this week, after this Sunday, we head into our bye week. So if we can pick up a win against Cincinnati, establish a little bit of momentum going into the bye, and give ourselves a chance to get healthy. I mean, I feel good about this team anyway. This is the first time since Brock Purdy has been the starting quarterback that he has faced adversity. And boy, he has a lot of adversity to deal with. He has a lot of adversity to deal with right now. But given the fact that he's 10-2 as a starter, he has not played an entire season. He has not played an entire season as a starter, which tells me, one, there is still a lot of room for improvement with Purdy in this offense, even though they're still averaging over 29 points a game. That's one. 2, the offense can really get better. They can really get better and really run roughshod over people, but the offensive line has got to come together also. And then we get this piece of news that came out earlier today that Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol and is uncertain to play against Cincinnati. Shanahan announced Wednesday afternoon that Purdy is in the NFL's concussion protocol after playing all of Monday night's game, leaving backup Sam Darnold to step in at practice while Purdy recovers. He made it through Monday's game without any apparent issues, but began feeling symptoms as the team was traveling back to the Bay Area. Shanahan said, quote, he started getting symptoms on the plane. We finally found out that when we landed, we were all pretty asleep, but then he got all checked up yesterday, and now he's in protocol, close quote. Should be scared, but I'm not. We have a capable backup in Sam Darnold, a very capable backup in Sam Darnold. But the Niners have gotten so used to Purdy that you have to wonder what Darnold will bring to the team. Let me bring in my 49ers insider, Sam Adverterata, joins me right now. Ryan Adverterata, I beg your pardon. I said Sam Darnold and I got crossed. Ryan, how are you, my man? Good to talk to you.
I would be a lot happier if Monday ended a lot differently. Let's leave it at
I
that.
would be happy. I would be happier too. But I'll repeat the good points. 5-2 going into this week against Cincinnati. Essentially, we're 2 games up in the West because everyone else in the division is lost. But I've got 2 real issues, and I want you to expound on both of them. First, let's start with the defense. The last 2 games, we got shredded by, let's just call a spade, a couple of mediocre passing games. How do you explain that?
Honestly, you have to kind of look at who they played the last 2 games, and when it comes down to it, the Browns and the Vikings offensive lines, they won. We saw that in Cleveland, they struggled to really get consistent pressure. The
True.
49ers did. And, you have all of this talent on the defensive front. Randy Gregory has probably been like the best defensive lineman over the last couple of weeks, which is saying something considering he's only been with the team for about 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa, he is Nick Bosa. He shows up in other ways other than just showing up on the stat sheet, but you need him to do a little bit more. You need him to be a little bigger of an impact. And honestly, we haven't really heard Eric Armstead a lot. So it's
Right.
just been a lot of struggles along the defensive line, getting pressure. And because of that, no matter how good your secondary is, there's only so much you can cover. There's only so much that you can ask your second and third string linebackers to do other than Fred Warner. So it's just a lot of it is just starting up front and the line of scrimmage, and they're not able to take advantage of those offensive lines.
Yeah, and we got to win the line of scrimmage against a team in Cincinnati that's coming in off of a bye. And I mentioned earlier in the night that the last time we played them, we beat them, but it was in Cincinnati, and it took overtime. It took overtime to do it. Purdy is in concussion protocol. Updates, reports, your thoughts?
It was kind of a surprise that he was in the concussion protocol. I don't recall them really discussing that immediately following on Monday. I mean, we're looking at Wednesday afternoon essentially when it's released to the general public that hey, your starting quarterback Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too excited about it. I see him being kind of a game time decision. But I right now I hope that that offense is preparing for Sam Darnold to kind of lead the way on Sunday.
Well, here's my thing with Sam Darnold. He has something that he's never had before in his career: weapons, lots of them.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a big difference. He not just the weapons, but he has an offensive mind that's leading the way and creating openings. I mean, part of the thing that you saw with Brock Purdy wasn't that he has a cannon of an arm, but it's just that if you can get the football out when you're supposed to, you're making the correct reads, then
Mm-hmm.
the players will be open. Not always because you have some defensive time. You have some time where defenses are going to make the play, but I mean, I'd say at least 60 to 70% of the time, you're going to have a guy open. So if you make the read and you get the ball out when you're supposed to, he can do a good job. And he has that ability. Obviously, he was, first round draft pick, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of hype coming out. He has the talent. It's just a matter of him trusting the offense.
Yeah, and it's going to be a matter of him trusting the offense. It's going to be a matter of him trusting the offensive line. Any word on Trent Williams?
Everything that I've seen and read so far has pointed to him being another one of those where we're going to have to look at the practice sheet tomorrow and to see if he gets if he's limited, then that's a good sign. If it's another, did not practice, or if there's any type of negative news coming out, then I'm going to say no. I do think that because of the bye week coming up, there is a thought that they might keep him out an additional week just to give him essentially 3 weeks to heal up. Because let's be honest, the offensive line can survive without him this week. They could have done it the last week as well against the Vikings. But when it comes down to it, you want that guy healthy for the stretch run. We don't need him necessarily to be healthy against, week 8 against the Bengals. We want him to be week 17 into the playoffs, to be at his full strength or as close to it as possible.
Ryan Adverterada joining me here on the program this evening, talking injuries right now. How long will the Niners be without Deebo Samuel?
When the injury initially happened, or at least before last week's or this past Monday game, they had said about 2 weeks. They're looking at maybe 3. I haven't heard anything really that would change that thought process. The last time I had seen anything really that would make me think of like an actual timetable, we're looking at probably the week after the bye week. So you look at it, he had this past week off. He's probably not coming. I mean, no, probably. I don't see him coming back this week. And if he does, I'll be honest, that'd probably be a very big mistake on their end. But definitely 2 weeks from now. So I can definitely see that following week coming out of the bye, having essentially 3 weeks to rest. And even then, I think he's going to be someone who comes out of the bye probably limited, at least for the first couple of days.
Yeah, I see that too. And you said the most important thing, you want your guys healthy for the stretch run. You want your guys healthy for the stretch run. So we're talking weeks 15 through 18, when the Niners have a chance, let's just go ahead and say it, to clinch the West Division, maybe have a shot at the number 1 seed. They're sitting in the number 2 slot right now. Let's look ahead to Cincinnati. Cincinnati is coming off of a bye. They're 3 up and 3 down coming into this week. What improvements have you seen so far in scouting the Cincinnati Bengals?
The Bengals are a bit of an enigma because you look at the very early part of the season, the first couple of games, it just didn't seem like the same team that you've had over the last couple of seasons. The same question marks came up where it was a matter of, okay, well, can the run game be consistent? Is the offensive line going to protect Joe Burrow? Can you maintain productivity on the outside if there's any injuries? So we've had some answers to that. Burrow he's the same guy that we saw at LSU. He still has all that swagger. He still is he's one of the best quarterbacks, period, in the league. So you're gonna have to deal with him. But
right,
honestly, it comes down to how well the defense can stop the run. They've struggled at times this season again. It's kind of the MO of the Bengals for the last few years. The defense is the question. And it comes down to, again, the line of scrimmage on both sides. If they can have a solid day on both sides of the football, they're probably winning the game. On Sunday against the 49ers, it's going to be a bigger test for them. But that's, again, going back to what we said earlier, it's going to come down to, can the 49ers defensive line put consistent pressure on the quarterback?
And that is going to be a huge key for San Francisco because Burrow has a quick release, but that offensive line, and given the attitude of the 49ers coming into this week, you would think that this offensive line at Cincinnati can be had.
Exactly. I mean, if you're looking at that line, it's a very inconsistent line. And you're looking at a 49ers defense that, they were called out after Monday night's loss. Not just the defense, but the entire team. Pretty much on defense on Monday, you essentially had Randy Gregory and Fred Warner, who played very well, and that's about it. Everyone else kind of struggled. Everyone else seemed very flat. So I think you have a pissed off 49ers defense, which I think is a good thing. And I do think that you have someone in Steve Wilks who knows what he can do against offenses that maybe are missing a top receiver at the time, or maybe a top receiver is a little, struggling a little bit coming back from injuries. But I do think the defense can bounce back on Sunday. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of a lot of just rushing four, and then occasionally just bringing an extra rusher, maybe just blitzing a fifth guy. A lot of probably man to man on the back end, and then just kind of playing someone deep. I think they're going to be aggressive on defense, just to force Burrow to throw the ball earlier. While he does have a quick release, the routes are, he wants to go deeper down the field. I think they're going to try to just clamp on the outside and then just force everything up in the middle.
Let's go back to Monday night in Minnesota. One of the backbreaking plays came in the first quarter. This is after the turnover where the Niners had the Vikings 3rd and 12, and the Vikings picked up 15 in the first down. That drive turned into a touchdown drive. How much did that break the 49ers?
That drive, I won't say that it is necessarily a game breaker or really breaking the will of the 49ers. I think it gave the Vikings the confidence they needed on offense, because that was the drive where I think it kicked off like a streak of 5 or 6 drives in a row where they scored.
Right.
And that was kind of where they pulled away. But I believe that specific third down play, and if you kind of pull it back up on the replay, I think it was Fred Warner kind of making a mistake. He dropped back in coverage a little bit too deep in his zone.
Yep.
Guy was underneath him, and it came down to there was about, I think, I want to say like 5 to 10 yards between him and that receiver. So it was just one of those where it probably was the epitome of the mental errors that were being made by the defense. And I mean, I genuinely think the real backbreaker was Moody just dropping that pick at the end of the first half that ended up going for a 6 for the Vikings.
Yeah, that wound up being a 60-yard touchdown to Jordan Addison. I will say this, and I said this at the top of the program. I'll take 5-2 right now, even though we are struggling in a few areas. 5-2 ain't too shabby to go through the struggles that we're going through right now, with a chance with 11 weeks left in the season to fix it.
Exactly. I mean, obviously losing 2 in a row, especially the way that they have lost those 2, is very frustrating. I mean, anyone who spends any time on like Twitter, or I guess X or Facebook or any social media with other 49er fans, they'll see how frustrating and how frustrated they are. But when you kind of pull out, take a step back and you take a look at the big picture, like you said, they're 5-2. They have a chance to become 6-2 going into a very much needed bye. And then kind of everything lining up. And it's going to be a tough, back half of the season. You're going to have 2 against the Rams. You're going to have the Rams game. Granted, it's going to be a home game, but then you'll still have the 2 against Seattle. You're going to have the away game to the Cardinals. So that's 4 games right there that honestly you should be winning. So that right there, if you're 6-2 going into that bye week, that's 10-2. That right there is not just a playoff spot, but that's a division title. And I think you're playing right now for that 2 seed. It's going to come down to if they can maintain their win-loss record and then go and play the Eagles and possibly knock them off. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 5-2, possibly even 6-2 heading into the bye is where you'd hope. And so far you haven't had, knock on wood, the catastrophic injuries. You haven't had anything that is pointing to major deficiencies. So the team can improve. There's still a lot to improve on. And overall, you have to still be pretty hopeful and excited for the rest of the season.
I am very hopeful and very excited for the remainder of the season. That's Ryan at Verterata joining us here on That 49ers Show this evening. You'll be able to hear him for the remainder of the season to help with our coverage of the San Francisco 49ers. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate the time. I look forward to talking to you next week.
Thanks, Noah. Have a great one.
Ryan at Verterata joining us. Let's pause for a break, and when we come back, we'll take a preview and a look at the Cincinnati Bengals. Can these two meet in the Super Bowl finally for the 3rd time? Clarence Nixon will join me next.
Attention sports fans, looking for the ultimate gear and apparel to show your team pride? Look no further than Fanatics, the #1 destination for sports enthusiasts. Visit SnowmanMultimediaSports.com today and shop a wide selection of officially licensed merchandise from your favorite teams and players. From jerseys to hats to accessories to collectibles, Fanatics has it all. Don't miss out on the chance to elevate your game day experience. Head over to SnowmanMultimediaSports.com/Fanatics and gear up like a true fan with Fanatics. Officially licensed everything. Are you ready to upgrade your coffee game? Prepare for an invasion of flavor with Invader Coffee. It's the caffeinated elixir that fuels champions, the blend that pushes boundaries. Whether you're battling deadlines or exploring uncharted territories, Invader Coffee has your back. Join the invasion at invadercoffee.com and taste the difference for yourself. Use the code Snowman for 15% off your first order. Invader Coffee, veteran owned.
Welcome back to that 49ers show. We're presented by Fanatics and BetUS.com. Inside the Snowman Broadcast Center this Friday, we got a special for you as we will have coverage of the 2023 World Series game number 1. The Texas Rangers hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll start our stream at 8 p.m. Eastern. And also tomorrow, you can catch Diary of a Mad Snowman, a 2-night premiere beginning tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. The second episode will be Friday, but it will be after the World Series. So we'll keep you updated on all the times of that. Clarence Nixon is on the way, and I want to bring something that a lot of people are not talking about that has been the problem with the 49ers so far this year. Depth. There is a very significant drop-off after Dre Greenlaw. This is where not having backups that are in the system and tuned in really, really hurt. Which brings me to this. What kind of defensive backups could we use? There's a couple out there right now, according to Fan Nation, all 49ers. Frankie Louvu, 6'3", 235. Steve Wilks will be familiar with him from his time in Carolina. And Jordan Hicks, 32-year-old with the Minnesota Vikings. If the Vikings, I beg your pardon, decide to sell at the deadline, he's an option as an aging but a highly productive veteran. Offensive tackle is going to be huge for us to look at in free agency. Got a couple names for you there. With Trent Williams with a high ankle sprain, I'm going to go ahead and say he'll be out for Sunday against Cincinnati. Although with what Ryan said earlier, there is a good chance for the Niners to handle business against Cincinnati on Sunday. La'el Collins, a 30-year-old free agent, 6'4", 320 pounds. He has his medical clearance from his doctor coming off ACL and MCL surgery. There hasn't been interest generated with the 49ers as of yet, but he's somebody to look at that will spell Trent Williams. Another tackle you can look at possibly on the right side, 31-year-old Garrett Bowles from Denver, 6'5", 300 pounds, and he's reportedly on the block. Remember, we lost Mike McGlinchey. To free agency, and he signed with the Denver Broncos. So there's a possibility we could get a Bronco back here. We looked at the linebacker position. Jalen Johnson, defensive back, is that the Niners have reports from Chicago is that the Niners have asked about the availability And the asking price for Jalen Johnson, he's 24 years old, 6 foot tall, 196 pounds. He was top 6 in the league in his rookie year in passes defended. It'll be huge for the Niners to make a couple of moves at the trade deadline, and they have the most cap space in the league after reworking contracts with George Kittle as well as Nick Bosa. Here's another position, tight end. You would think we wouldn't need any with Ross Dwelly and, of course, George the Animal Kittle, the 7-time Pro Bowler. Zach Ertz is reportedly on the block. He's a proven receiver and a blocker. He has 24 catches, 168 yards, and a touchdown. But you have to think about Arizona. He's with Arizona right now. They would be unlikely to deal him within the division. But there is a chance that Zach Ertz may wind up in the Bay Area. Hunter Henry from New England, 28 years old, 6'5", 258. He's a free agent after this year. He's a solid receiver. He's got 18 catches for 183 yards and 2 touchdowns. There's a possibility that the Patriots could be sellers at the deadline. Now, I'm going to mention a couple of wide receivers because we definitely need some depth at the wide receiver position. Because now it's in question with Deebo Samuel's shoulder injury. Got 2 names for you. Mecole Hardman and Kendrick Bourne. Mecole Hardman is now back in Kansas City. Would he be shopped again by the Chiefs? I don't think so. So I think Hardman's going to be off the board, but we will see. And here's a familiar name to 49er fans, Kendrick Bourne. This is the name that I have been hearing the most that could make a return to San Francisco. And I would not be surprised if he did make his return to San Francisco. He's very familiar with the team. He's very, very familiar, in Kyle Shanahan's system. So there could be a chance of a reunion with Kendrick Bourne. And remember, he left in 2021 to sign with New England. Let's take a break. When y'all get back, Clarence Nixon will help me preview the game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and this time it's in Santa Clara. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Attention sports fans, looking for the ultimate gear and apparel to show your team pride? Look no further than Fanatics, the #1 destination for sports enthusiasts. Visit snowmanmultimediasports.com today and shop a wide selection of officially licensed merchandise from your favorite teams and players. From jerseys to hats to accessories to collectibles, Fanatics has it all. Don't miss out on the chance to elevate your game day experience. Head over to snowmanmultimediasports.com/fanatics and gear up like a true fan with Fanatics. Officially licensed everything. Sports bettors, listen up. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back and in our 30th year of action. With live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds boosters, props and parlays, fast payouts, and exceptional one-to-one customer service, we got it all. And when you sign up today and use the code Snowman, you will get a 125% deposit match on your deposit. Log on to betus.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BET-US. BetUS.com, where the game begins.
Welcome back to this edition of That 49er Show. You can catch us every Wednesday live here on YouTube, and you can catch the replay on all of your favorite podcast outlets. If you catch us on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star rating. And if you're catching us via YouTube, don't forget to smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. As I mentioned to you, Friday It's the 2023 World Series. Yours truly will have an alternative play-by-play call. It's game one, the Texas Rangers hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks, and a couple of wild cards, the two wildest of the wild cards. 8 p.m. is the start time for our stream. And then Saturday at 3:30, it is number 8 Oregon at number 13 Utah. We had a poll, and it was overwhelmingly in favor of this game. This is the one we'll have. 3:30 is the kickoff time. 3 o'clock will be the start time for our stream. Now, this guy that I'm bringing on has teased me mercilessly for about 4 years. Why? Because he's a Bengals fan. So I said, hey, take your teasing and become one of my Bengals insiders. And he happily accepted. I love this young brother. Clarence Nixon now joins the podcast. Clarence, how are you, man?
Oh, man. What's up, OG? I'm doing good. How you doing today?
The OG is doing great, and I'm happy to have you on this evening, man.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your Bengals. It's been a Jekyll and Hyde kind of year. Is this, I don't want to say this is normal, but it seems like it's just been normal behavior for them. They start slow in September, but then by the time October hits, they get their act together.
I just think, the type of team we have in Cincinnati is a quarterback-driven type of team. And what I mean by that is, like, if Joe Burrow is off, the whole team is off. And we've seen in numerous times, like, through the first 3 games, obviously the first 2 games, the first 2 games was division matchups against the Cleveland Browns and Baltimore Ravens. It's like for the Cleveland Browns, we just didn't come up to Cleveland, Ohio, play football because, with the condition and, lack of reps from the preseason games. So that affected us pretty well because it was just when you guys not having no chemistry, it messes up the team. So on the second game to Baltimore, they thought they can pull it together. It was going good at last, but they just couldn't stop the run. Like, I'll tell you what, like, OG, the Bengals couldn't stop the run like the first 2 games. Like, that was horrible rush defense that we just had, though. And, everybody kept saying, oh, we started off 0-2 last year, man, just like the same old. I'm like, it can't be the same old story, though, because this is a different story. Our quarterback is hurt. And, you got fans out there in Cincinnati saying, oh, we should have just sat him down. But I'm like, here's the thing. Coach Zach Taylor brought in a backup quarterback in Trevor Siemian to be Joe Burrow backup for the season. He didn't win the job. He lost to a practice squad guy in Jake Browning. So that was one of our problems too. Like, 9 times out of 10, I would have sat him down because he's hurt. But if we had like a reliable backup quarterback, then the situation would have been more smoother for us. Like, we heard it from Jamar Chase. I think he should sit out and all that. But Joe Burrow just got that fight in him that just keep fighting and fighting. I predicted and told us we'll go 3-3 before the bye. We went 3-3 before the bye. Now the bye week is over. We about to head to Cali. We're going back to Cali. Oh man, it's gonna be a good one though. But I just think
it is.
If we can create if we can put more points on the board, we execute plays though. I think we'll be right back though. I think we slowly get our groove back, OG. But I won't put it past it yet.
Clarence Nixon joining us here on That 49ers Show tonight. There has been a good history between the 49ers and the Bengals, be it the regular season or be it the 2 Super Bowls that we played. And we were on our way to a third, and then Aaron Donald showed up. Your thoughts, and I know you've been kidding around with me on social media. We kid around with each other all the time.
All the time.
Your thoughts, I want your true thoughts on Brock Purdy coming into this week.
Well, I just think like Brock Purdy is one of those type of guys like that's learning from a great head coach in Kyle Shanahan. Like, believe it or not, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not discrediting Brock Purdy or anything. I just Shanahan's system is so quarterback friendly. It makes him look good. Like, he got all the weapons around him. He make the right throws, the right reads, and he's making less mistake though. But I think if you slowly pay attention to like watching Brock Purdy, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Like now, I will say on Monday night that interception was on him because he tried to force it in,
Yes.
but that right there, that's on him though. But quarterbacks make mistakes like that all the time. But Brock Purdy, I feel like when he's going through his progression, he's paying, he's reading the defenses and he's doing a good job with that. He's making the right smart throws. Like he's making the throws that your quarterback should make though.
Exactly.
Like you don't want him just jacking 30 yards downfield, but if he got a good read downfield, he's gonna make that. I think Purdy is playing like I was arguing my debate with my cousin. I said Purdy was playing like a top 5 quarterback this year, though. But these last 2 games, though, it had me thinking like, Purdy, it's time for you to show up now, man. But I think Purdy is a phenomenal, good quarterback. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he's very intelligent when he's like, giving the play, though. He's the reason why he won the starting quarterback. This is Mr. Irrelevant. Like the last pick of the draft, starting right now. Like Brock Purdy is solid. I give you that though, OG.
And here's the other thing, and you and I have talked about this at length. Not many people, you study the game, I study the game, but not many people like really study the game. What have we talked about? What is the premise of the West Coast offense? To run the football.
Yeah.
Who has one of the most punishing rushing games in the NFL? It's the 49ers. And a lot of people are looking way past that because of all the weapons, McCaffrey and Samuel, George Kittle. But you have to understand the Niners are deep at the running back position. They love to run the ball down your throat.
Well, I agree with that take, though. The Niners, they run down your throat, though, because – and they got – you ain't shout out the big Trent Williams guy that be blowing, opening up the holes so they can get the run game going. Like the Niners, though, when we play against them, they just a physical, demanding team. Like they play with sound, and they are one of those teams that you got to keep your foot on the pedal, though. Like you got to challenge them. You got to go. Hit their heart. Like you know what I'm saying. Like if you like that good team. You just got to go out there and just give it your all because this type of team is a physical team. They got a good rush defense and underrated pass defense as well, though. But the Niners, though, like as much as we only won 4 times ever in our history against them, like them are like one of the teams I'd be like, man, we got to play them again. Goodness, they always like goodness though. And then we played McCaffrey too, though. Like his last time we played McCaffrey, he had 184 rushing yards on us. So in his mind, he's thinking like, oh yeah, this Cincinnati, I'm trying to run the football. And y'all just lost 2 back-to-back games though. So y'all playing with energy in front of home crowd. And you know what we trying to do? Shut them up so we can lead y'all to 3 straight losses, man.
Good luck shutting up 71,000 in Santa Clara at Levi's Stadium. Look, we had to do the same thing in overtime 2 years ago because we led you guys 20-7, and then all of a sudden Jamar Chase gets loose for 2 touchdowns in the final 4 minutes, winds up tied since he gets a field goal in overtime, and then one of the most underrated weapons that the 49ers have had in a long time, his name is Brandon Ayuk, tiptoed the sideline.
Yeah, that was
into the end zone.
I was at the game actually, OG. When I seen that right there, seeing it like on the Jumbotron, you just like, bro, like that just like main focus right there in footwork. Like, I'm like, goodness, he scored. Don't even try to argue it, man. It's touchdown. Like, he just tiptoed, like, patience right there, man. Like, at that game, freezing cold in the 49ers side. They talk about, hey, man, we're finna win in Cincinnati. You know that, right? Because we have George Kittle. And look, and the crazy part about that game, every third down play, the fans are yelling, it's going to Kittle. It's going to Kittle. I swear, the curl route pull my hair, man. Like, this is going to be a good game. Hey, this is going to be a good game, though, because
this is going to be a fabulous game, man.
Fabulous game. Because another intriguing matchup I want to see, though, is Orlando Brown play against Nick Bosa. I know Bosa going to be on, like, the other side, though. But if he slides over there, he better watch out for Big Zeus. Now for Jonah, I'm praying to God, man. That OG, I'm gonna be honest. I'm praying to God, man. I'm like, woo! Like Jonah over there with Nick Bosa. goodness. And he got Fred Warner in the middle, so you can't throw no crazy passes. Like, you can't be quick throws. But OG, this game right here is for us is going to determine if we beat San Fran, like, we're back.
Yeah. And I say this jokingly, good luck, because the Niners, we're considerably beat up because we're missing Williams. We won't know about Williams until tomorrow. Purdy's going to be a game time decision, but there is Christian McCaffrey. And I know y'all are sick of Christian McCaffrey.
Only played one time, though. Almost had 200 rushing yards, though. But I also heard Purdy might not play, though.
Yeah, he's in concussion protocol.
Yeah, you know the same. All season when the players in concussion protocol, they hasn't played that week. So that right there is going to be something to watch as well.
Yeah, he's going to be. I think he's going to be a game time decision. It's a 4:25 kickoff from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. It's going to be a good one. Santa Clara is going to be hyped. The Niners are home after going 0-2 on the road. But I want to get one more question before I let you out of here. Talk to me, if you would, because you were singing his praises 2 years ago. Talk to me about the development of Brandon Ayuk.
But I just think Brandon Ayuk, though, is probably the most athletic, not the most though, but one of the best athletic receivers in the league right now. His route running ability is growing, getting better each and every year. His catch rate is increasing, and everybody, when they play against the 49ers, they don't got to be like, oh man, we got to worry about Debo and Kittle. Nah, you got to worry about Ayuk over there as well, though.
Yes.
Because, believe it or not, I think one of my favorite catches from him when he leaped over the defender and he just walked in. I'm like, that right there is athleticism. That's what he brings to y'all San Fran team too, is athleticism, 50-50 balls, and very determined at catching the ball. Everybody was saying Ayuk broke out last year. I think he's really breaking out this year. And considering fact Samuel is going to be out for the next 2 games, though, I think we're going to see a lot of Ayuk, though. 57 yards last on Monday night. I think we're going to see a little bit more Ayuk, though, because he wants to get involved. He wants to be that receiver. And he wants to be that other, that target instead of George Kittle or Jawan Jeans or Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, whoever. He wants to be that dude, though. And Ayuk, he's having a phenomenal year this year, OG.
He is. He leads the 49ers in receiving yards coming into this week. And I'm going to throw a name at you who he reminds me of, but with a little more development. And I know a lot of Cincinnati Bengals fans. Fans. They're not going to like my next 2 words. John Taylor.
I think I was around that time. I think I wasn't born yet around his time.
Look up number 82, John Taylor. A lot of old school Bengal fans know who he is. He caught the game winner against Cincinnati in Super Bowl 23. But you have Debo on one side. We'll close with this. You have Debo on one side, Ayuk on the other, George Kittle in the slot. I mean, when they are completely healthy, how dangerous can this 49ers team be?
Very dangerous, though, because the offensive line does a great job protecting the quarterback. The quarterback that whoever quarterback is going to be this Sunday, he doesn't make those throws. He had to make the right read and make that throw. So, and then, like you said, all the targets right there, it's like pick your poison. You want some of Kittle, you want some of Ayuk, or you want some of Debo. But thank God we're not going to get Debo this Sunday, though. Unfortunately, he's hurt, though. I don't celebrate injuries, though, OG, but I wanted Debo because, he's a good guy. He's a great guy. He's a great receiver. So, but, hope he get healthy and stuff, though. We'll catch him in some other years, though. But we still got Kittle, McCaffrey, and Ayuk, and Jawan Jennings. I ain't scared about him, Jawan Jennings. So I've been keeping my eye on him as well, though, because one thing about us Bengals, we always let no-name guys go off. Bro, it's like OG. Guys, I promise you. Remember Okay, remember when Andy Dalton first 2 years of quarterback? He was the quarterback that led us to the playoff. Dude, we lost to a guy named TJ Yates.
Yes.
Like,
in
bruh.
Yes.
Yes. OG, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So these no names, like, not trying to disrespect Jawan Jennings though, but
right.
Yeah, but if this guy come in there, had 5 catches, 70 yards, man, I'm gonna lose my hair. Because this guy, a guy like him, and to his caliber, should not be dominating us, though. But he, like our signature said, bullies get bullied. And Kittle, McCaffrey, and Ayuk are the next getting bullied.
I don't think so. But we'll see what happens. It's a 4:25 kick on Sunday from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. I just might have to do that game. Clarence Nixon, our Bengals insider, joining me here on that 49ers show tonight. I love you, brother. Thank you, Young King, so much for joining me this evening. I really appreciate it.
It's an honor, man.
Clarence Nixon joining me here. That'll do it for this edition of that 49ers show. Sunday, the 49ers host the Cincinnati Bengals at 4:25. Who knows? Could be the first of two. We'll let you know how the streaming schedule goes. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week on another edition of that 49ers show. God bless you and good night, y'all.